All right, everybody, this is going to be your guys' review for Iran's 2-0 win over Tanzania for their final friendly in this international window. So per usual, we're going to talk about the match, give you all my thoughts, the pros, the cons, and most of the time for these videos, it's mainly going to be talking about cons and mainly the same cons that we talk about in most videos. But I will say there is a little bit of a different conversation to be had in today's video. And before you forget, if you're a big fan of Asian football, but more specifically the Iranian national team, this is the channel that you need to be at leading up to the 2026 World Cup, so make sure to subscribe. Don't forget to smash the like button on this video, comment your guys' thoughts, and let's jump into it. Oh yeah, and by the way, I will be heading to Europe in the coming days, going to various matches from the Premier League to Champions League to Greek League. If you guys want to follow along during my trip, make sure to go drop me a follow on Instagram. The link is down in the description and just up here on the screen. You guys can see my @ you can also type it in and search it up that way. When it comes to this match, I'll first get started with the positives and move on to the negatives, because in my opinion, I think the match starts off very well for various reasons and then slowly but surely teeters off to becoming a negative for various reasons. When it comes to the positives, the starting lineup, Kasra Taheri starting up top. Huge positive, the biggest W that all of us fans have been wanting, giving Mehdi Taremi a rest, letting this young, bright star get a go in a friendly match against an inferior opponent in Tanzania. And then as well, we got to see Hosseinnejad start, which was awesome. It was unfortunate he was paired up with Hosseinnejad, who's an absolute haram defender. But those would be my two biggest positives from the starting lineup. If it was me, I would have started Taheri, Hosseinnejad with the likes of Sayyadmanesh, Khuda Bandelu, Qurbani, Zadeh. These are all players that just should have played in this game, started, gotten significant minutes. Some of them did come on, and I will talk about that, but there was no reason whatsoever for any of these guys just not to have started the match. So when it comes to the match, I think Iran played fairly well in the first half. We saw some good intricate play. We won a penalty. Hosseinnejad tucked it away, scoring in back-to-back matches in both the friendlies. Hosseinnejad was able to bag himself a goal. Big positive there. Overall, his performance, I think, was just okay, but again, he's a younger guy, and I don't mind if we have to take time to implement him to see the best out of him. That's totally fine. That's the point of these type of friendlies. Taheri then gets an assist in a very unselfish play from a mistake from Tanzania. He pounces on the ball, plays it wide to Mohebi, and then he tucks his shot. It's deflected. It wasn't the greatest shot by him, but it goes into the corner, and Iran's up 2-0, and that was pretty much the icing on the cake. The only unfortunate part was Taheri looks like he suffered a pretty bad injury. We'll find out later on what exactly was his injury, and that was unfortunate to see because I thought he was playing really well in the match. You could see him kind of growing into it. He was playing well. He was definitely a bright spot for us offensively, but we finally had our prayers answered, and Hosseinnejad finally got significant minutes for the national team. He played over 60 minutes in this match. He was the sub for Taheri, and it was absolute scenes. I was so happy during the live. I was so happy to see Hosseinnejad finally get some minutes for the national team. You roll into the second half. Jahanbakhsh comes on, which yet again, there's this whole cloud of Jahanbakhsh. Why is he getting minutes? This and that. He has been getting so much flack across Iranian media from us as fans. And as we all know, I am the diehard #1 Alireza Jahanbakhsh stand, and I've said in numerous videos, as long as he is not playing for a top club in Europe or playing whatsoever, he has no business to be playing for the national team. But I will say this, a lot of the hate is being pointed directly at him when it's not his fault per se on why he is getting the game time. That is on Amir Ghalenoei. Let's stop getting it twisted like, oh, it's Jahanbakhsh's fault. He's the one who's putting himself in the lineups, this and that. He's not the coach. He's not the one who makes these decisions. That is Ghalenoei. He's the one that chooses to call him up, to play him, to give him significant minutes. So I do think the blame being pointed at Jahanbakhsh is not the correct way to be looking at it, because that is how Iranian media, a lot of fans, and everything in between are pointing the fingers at. It's like, it's all Jahanbakhsh's fault. Like, no, I mean, should Jahanbakhsh have already signed for a club? Yes. I don't know what's taking him so long. To do this back-to-back windows is very embarrassing. It is not a good look. So Ghalenoei, as the coach, as the leader of the national team, should be like, hey, Alireza, Alireza, I'm not going to be calling you up for games if you're not going to be playing for a club. That doesn't make any sense. That is not Alireza Jahanbakhsh's fault. That is Ghalenoei's fault. So I want to separate this discourse with Jahanbakhsh in regards to what is actually his fault and what is actually Ghalenoei's fault. Because in this game, Jahanbakhsh did not look good. He looked a step behind. He didn't look match fit. And of course, why would he look match fit? He hasn't played a match since around like September, I believe. He looked very sluggish. He didn't look like himself. It looked like age, the lack of game time in the last year is all caught up to him. I think instead of subbing him on, we could have subbed in other players, which luckily we did see the likes of Sayyadmanesh, Qurbani come into this game as well. Alipur came in, but I think he's absolute buns, which I thought was awesome. These were the big positives. To see the likes of Taheri, Hosseinnejad, Sayyadmanesh, Qurbani, these are the type of players that should be getting big minutes in these type of friendlies. I mean, it's against Tanzania, a team that is ranked in the hundreds in the FIFA ranking, a country that can't even qualify for World Cups. They were giving the ball away. They were playing so sluggish. Like, Tanzania looks trash in this game. And Iran didn't help their case. When the second half started rolling around, we made these subs, these changes. I definitely think Iran looked horrible. Like, the tactics, it looked very messy, disjointed, the various things that I've been saying in many of Iran's matches under Ghalenoei. It looked very uninspiring, and I think it was a huge bummer to not play the likes of Zadeh or Khudabandelu in this game. These are two players, a very good and young defender that is playing in the Russian league. He's a legionnaire, and Khudabandelu, who is a young, up-and-coming player playing for Persepolis, who could add a little bit of different sauce in this game. Because a tangent I want to go on in this video is, if a guy like Zadeh, for example, who's playing in the Russian league, doesn't get minutes for the national team, but then say goes back to Iran to play, then we'll get minutes for the national team. Because, for example, like with a guy like Taheri, he was playing for Rubin Kazan. He was with their team, but wasn't even getting any looks or shouts or even a sniff for the national team during that time. But as soon as he comes back to Iran, goes to play for Paycon, and yes, he's playing very well, it is now getting looked at for the national team. Like, what kind of message does that send to your player, Ghalenoei? These are the things that pisses me off, because Ghalenoei doesn't have like a lens or a scope of anything outside of the PGPL or even the UAE league. I've talked about this many times, but he's not putting the pressure on players to go play at higher levels. We are not seeing players push themselves like they did under Carlos Queiroz, because he brought in that standard for the national team. You see a guy like Zadeh, who's a young, very quality center back, that easily could be playing and getting minutes in these type of friendlies over Khaliazadeh, who in the Russia game was slow, cost us in that first goal, and in this game early on in the match, let a player get in front of him. He got easily beat because he is 3 steps behind him, and we almost conceded. These are the little to somewhat big things that Ghalenoei, man, that pissed me off so much about him. And then the match concludes, it ends 2-0, whoop-de-doo, Iran won the game. We already know Ghalenoei is gonna go in his press conferences. Iranian media, they're gonna be like, yeah, we finally won a game. I played some younger players. We played against a quality opponent. I mean, there's already this post going around that my boy Erfan posted because he was at the press conference. Ghalenoei yet again waffling, blah, saying he's not happy with players playing in Iran in the PGPL. Where was this like 2 years ago? And it's almost as if, Ghalenoei, it's your fault that players are going back to the PGPL and or playing in the UAE league. You are incentivizing it. Like I just said earlier in the video, you're not satisfied with the performances. It just dawned upon you now against Tanzania when we've all been saying this for ages now. Like, homeboy needs to look at himself in the mirror, and yes, he might see a clown when he looks at himself, and realize you are the problem and you're complaining about all things that you can control. This guy just does my head in when you watch the national team play, when he speaks. I'm so tired of it. But definitely big positives from this match. Taheri, Sayyadmanesh, Hosseinzadeh, all these guys getting minutes in these type of games is what we need to see. But instead of just sub appearances, a lot of these guys just need to be starting from here on out in these upcoming friendly matches. Taheri, Sayyadmanesh, Hosseinnejad, Khudabandelu, Qurbani, Zadeh, Hazbavi. I don't even care, throw Khalifa in the mix. These guys should be the ones playing for the national team. Nekunam recently went on Iranian media talking about how Ghalenoei is killing the national team's future, and many other former players, pundits have all been saying that, but it's very prevalent with Nekunam because He's a coach, of course, was a legendary player for the national team, and is a guy that his name has been thrown into that hat for someone to maybe be the Iranian coach in the future. But he talked about how the national team needs to give these younger guys a chance, build for the future. Even if you lose 4 or 5-0 playing the younger guys, it's not really gonna make that big of a difference because you're adding the experience. They're gaining the experience with the national team. Today, yeah, Hosseinnejad, Sayyadmanesh, they didn't look great, but they really didn't look that far off from these experienced guys that have been there, done that have been dropping stinker after stinker. Think about Sayyadmanesh and Hosseinnejad haven't really been in the national team fix at all. They haven't gotten any significant minutes in ages. So you would expect these type of jitters and lack of comfortability with the team, not understanding, hey, who's going to be here? What kind of system do we play? All these nuances. I don't mind if these guys look shaky, but we have seen shaky play from Kanani, Baranvan, Khoaliyezadeh, Ezotolahi, Alipur, all these bummy guys getting minutes. So anyone that's going to come out here in the comments and be like, oh, well, they didn't even look that great when they played. I don't care. If you actually know ball and watch, they actually didn't even look that bad. They added a spark in the offense. It's all about the eye test there. And the eye test never passes with bums like Khoaliyezadeh. But we'll just have to see what ends up happening with Iran's upcoming friendlies in November in this like a little mini tournament they're playing in with Cape Verde, Egypt, and Uzbekistan, where Iran is guaranteed their first match against Cape Verde, who recently actually just qualified for this World Cup. So that is kind of cool that all these national teams that we will play against potentially are all World Cup teams. The only thing that I will say is if Iran ends up playing Uzbekistan in the final, because it will be Cape Verde versus Iran, Egypt versus Uzbekistan, and the winners of that will play each other. The losers will play against each other. If Iran and Uzbekistan advance, which I don't think will be the case, I'm pretty confident it could be Iran against Egypt, or say if we end up losing, we play Uzbekistan. As one of the biggest Iranian football reporters said, Misaki, I'm gonna absolutely off myself to see another Iran-Uzbekistan match in an international window. But boys and girls, my opinion only matters so much. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below. We will be doing content surrounding Asian football, the Iranian national team, for the upcoming windows, which includes that tournament I just talked about. So make sure to subscribe, turn on those notifications so you don't miss a video, smash the like button on this video. And if you guys enjoyed watching this, make sure to check out this video next and click over here as I post content weekly on the channel and you don't want to miss it. So boys and girls, I hope you'll have a lovely day.